Robots Radio presents
Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast.
I'm not usually a hat fan, but wow.
Jeg vil ikke være en dagger.
I'm really sipping on that dumb bitch juice today, and
Yeah, I am. But you know what? Someday I just might grow out of that. But you will never stop being a jerk.
All chocolate cakes are good. You're a fascist.
it's hideous.
It's horrible.
It's home. Angry white boy, let's go! Video.
Oh yeah, you gotta record the...
I'm doing it. I'm on it. I'm ready. Let's go.
I trust you. We're doing this. You've got this. I can see your shirt a little bit, which
Yeah,
is,
I
perfect for
really, this
YouTube.
was a mistake of a shirt to wear for a video medium, but I'm making it work.
In solidarity, halfway through, I'll just take my shirt off as well. I'm just like...
But no nipples.
No nipples. I'll drop down a little bit. Hello, and welcome to Fresh Tomatoes, the movie podcast. She's beauty and she's grace. She's Miss United States. That's Simone LaRue.
And that's Chad Ekowitz. And today we are joined by our dear friends from the Girl Crush podcast.
Woo!
Hey! Hello.
Hello.
Do you guys want to tell the people, introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sounds great. I'm Allie. I'm Anne. And we host Girl Crush podcast, where we select an actress and review all of the movies in her repertoire. So we just launched season 2, where we are reviewing all of Sandra Bullock's movies. And we rate all of her movies on 5 categories: plot, her acting, her character, whether we'd watch it again, and then a bonus category for Boss Babe. And then that's how we use those ratings to come up with our ranking for all of the movies that she's been in. So we're super excited. We started this last year with season 1 for Jennifer Aniston.
A strong start.
I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong with Jen and then Sandy. So we're really excited. But thank you so much for having us on. We're super excited to talk about these movies with you.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
are
you guys
so
have such
excited
like
to
a
have you on.
scientific approach compared to us. I feel like they've got like a 5-point ranking scale, and we're just like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
We realized we needed to, because when we started actually trying to like make a decision of which movie was better, we're like, we need something more concrete because it's too hard.
We're
too indecisive.
Yeah. We need guidelines.
Yeah, you see, we're very much subscribers to the idea of just fast and loose, and somehow it's worked to this point. We
Yeah.
just very much like Sandy B in the second Miss Congeniality movie, just go in with the flow, no idea what's happening, and it all kind of somehow works out. And that's just kind of our fields for the podcast. It kind of works, and clearly it works. Our different ways work, and now very much like in Congeniality, Miss Congeniality 2, two forces have joined together despite their differences to create this one beautiful episode, and I'm very excited for it.
Yeah.
Beautifully said.
So on that basis, Simone, we're doing Sandy B movies. What 2 movies? I mean, I've given it away, but just for prosperity's sake, what are we doing?
I thought you were about to ask me to like rank my 2 favorite Sandy B movies, and I was not ready. I was not prepared.
Okay, we'll do that at the end of the podcast so everyone has a moment to think about it.
Ooh.
How do you pick your 2 favorite children? But we are going to be doing the 2 Miss Congeniality movies. It's going to be amazing. I forgot how much I love Miss Congeniality.
Mm-hmm. It's so good. It's so brilliant. I mean, what do you guys think of these movies just in general? Like in terms of, because you've obviously done a lot of Sandy B recently, how do these 2 stack up versus like the rest of her the rest of her sort of portfolio that you've gone over so far?
I love these movies, especially the first one. I mean, we'll get into it, but the first one is a classic in my mind. Like everyone should see it. Everyone's probably seen it, but I just love the whole thing. I love it's like powerful, strong woman, but then she learns something. She like really comes into her own. She totally owns it. I just think it's like a very classic film.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And how about you, Anne? What do you think?
I mean, I too love these movies, especially the first one. I'll say that too. Sequels, they're good to come by.
Yeah.
I was actually shocked that the first movie has a less than 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. I
Yeah.
thought
Bonkers.
for sure
I
like that
know.
we were just,
Yeah.
doing it a favor and tossing it
Yeah.
in because the second one didn't do it. When I saw that, I was like, kind of personally, it's not rate like higher than that. I was so surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a discrimination. I think something's gone terribly wrong there, and it's not all right. It's not right. And I hope that we four together can raise this movie from the dead, because it deserves something better
It
than
does.
this.
Agreed.
So before we get into it, what we like to do is we like to discuss if anyone's drinking anything and what they're drinking. So Simone, I'll ask you first, purely on the basis that South Africa's alcohol ban has been lifted.
Yes.
Praise
Third one.
Sandy B. Yes.
Done. Gone. We're allowed to drink.
I need to hear more about this alcohol ban, because I've heard you talk about it before and I am shocked. What is that?
So
Strap in.
basically, as like part of like COVID measures, what they would do in like the harder stages of lockdown is ban the sale and transport of alcohol, because South Africa has a real bad drinking problem. And they were trying to basically free up the strain on emergency rooms and on hospital beds. And like there's a lot of debate back and forth about how effective it was, because like at the same time there was also like curfews and limits on who can go out, so like they don't know if that was like also freeing up space or if it was also the alcohol ban. But basically, whenever our numbers get too high, they just ban alcohol. It's really upsetting to me, because it always catches, like, I'm the only person who's ever caught off guard by it, so it's always like,
you didn't like
as
stock up.
Yeah, as I finish my last bottle of wine, the president's like, oh, by the way, you're not allowed to buy alcohol anymore. And I'm like, amazing, great, I'm sober for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Oh
they
my
lifted the
God.
ban
And
this like last week Monday. So yeah, it's been a party since then.
in America, liquor stores have been considered essential
I
businesses
believe that.
because we're so dysfunctional. They need to like medicate us in some capacity. So
Look,
that is so crazy.
going through hard lockdown sober was not fun.
Did a lot of internal reflecting.
Way more than I
Like-
actually really wanted to do.
Yeah. You gotta push down those feelings and make some more
Yeah, that was
sourdough
the
bread.
thing.
That's all you're
I'm
gonna
very
do.
Catholic, so I can't have all these feelings coming up.
Oh gosh. So what are you drinking now that the ban is over, Simone?
I'm having a lovely Chardonnay, and it is giving me life. I'm so happy. Like, my stemless wine glass, it is enormous. It is impossible to like portion control with a glass this large. But I'm not trying to, so.
No, you gotta make up for last time, and you know what? I'm proud of you. Now, American guests, you have obviously this is a time zone issue that we constantly have with guests, so we don't expect you to drink, but we will ask you all the same out of pure courtesy. Guys, what are you drinking this morning?
Well, it's 9 a.m. here in Denver, which means you've justified a morning mimosa for me. So
Yes.
I'm having a strawberry.
Yes!
I'm having a strawberry mimosa, though I'm like at my desk and I don't trust myself, so it is in a very secure cup with a lid, because I am a mess.
That's just
so.
smart. That's planning ahead. It's also worth knowing for our
Yes.
guests that we're recording on Super Bowl Sunday, because you guys are like champs and total professionals about the time zone. So like a mimosa on Super Bowl Sunday, I feel is like needed.
Yeah, it's A1. Like that's real.
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And
Pre-gaming,
we're
not
very
pre-game.
prepared. Yeah, here in Chicago it's 10 a.m. So I'm having a lovely cup of coffee to start off the day.
Yeah.
Good on you. Yeah.
You've got a long
You're
day
both being
ahead.
sensible.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's Super Bowl Sunday. You've got to root for the teams. There's going to be great adverts on. Like you said, you're going to be doing wings and things. So you need to be on it. And I respect both of you equally, because you're both being responsible in your own ways. Mimosas in a good, secure cup, responsible. Coffee at 10 a.m., responsible. Both of you are responsible adults, and I'm very, very happy about this.
What are you
and,
drinking, Chad?
I'm just drinking a beer. I'm drinking the Hop Stepper.
That's
I
a
saw
cool
this at the shops
can.
today. Yeah, it's pretty. For all of our YouTube listeners, it's a hop forward pale ale, so it's just lovely. It's a founder's batch, which is really nice, from the Hop Foundry, which is lovely. Yeah,
Nice.
very light beer, very chill, very nice. And shall we also say, because this episode will come out the Tuesday after Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, y'all!
Hey.
Woo.
And who better to celebrate with?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, it's our love for Sandy B that brought us all together. And is that not just the spirit of Valentine's Day in its entirety?
Was she at
So
all
true.
in
Girl
that
crush.
horrible Valentine's Day movie? I think we covered it a couple years ago.
No. She
Ah.
hasn't. She hasn't. I don't think she's been in any of those like movies with.
I mean, good
the
for
multiple
her.
storylines.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Holiday,
seriously.
Tons of famous people. Those are rough usually.
Oh yeah.
feel like the
It's a
closest
smart
is-
decision.
The closest to that she's been in like a big star-studded cast film was Ocean's 8, which I think had
Oh,
a
fair
lot
enough.
different vibe than like one of those,
Yeah.
Valentine's
Have you guys reviewed it for the season?
We have. That's actually going to be our third episode. So by
Nice.
the time this comes out, I can't do that calendar calculation in my head that quickly, but I think it will have
These
just
might-
released.
Yeah, these might come out the same week, maybe.
Okay,
Ooh,
perfect.
I also
So,
that's
cannot
exciting.
think about
you guys, if
calendars.
you want their thoughts on Ocean's 8, of which I'm
Yeah,
sure there are
exactly.
many, head on over.
Okay, brilliant. Well, shall I tell everyone about Miss Congeniality 1?
Take us
Although,
through.
let's be honest, we all know it off
We
by
all
heart.
know.
I think we could, to be fair, I think if with a little bit of prodding, we could just like recreate the whole movie now, just between the four
Scene
of
by
us,
scene.
just like assign
Recast
characters.
ourselves.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. I think we would all fight for the role of Sandy B, though, Gracie
yeah.
Lee Freebush. But, so to avoid
It'd be
that,
hysterical.
All right, here we go. Gracie Hart, played by Sandra Bullock, is just your average FBI agent. She's frumpy, totally committed to the job, and single. One night, whilst involved in a sting operation to bring down some big Russian mob boss, she accidentally gets one of her colleagues shot by disobeying a direct order from her superior. The guy survives, but she feels absolutely crap about it. Her boss, played by Ernie Hudson, is pretty pissed because of her lack of respect and puts her on desk duty until the inquiry into what went down. In the meantime, her other colleague and world-renowned heartthrob, Eric Matthews, played by Benjamin Bratt, has been given the opportunity to lead his own mission. There is a serial bomber loose across Manhattan, and a new coded message has come in from the bomber. Eric has been tasked with solving the case and looks to assemble a team. A day or so later, Gracie is reading over the coded message from the bomber when she realizes that it's a threat to bomb the Miss United States pageant. She immediately rushes off to tell Eric, but he already knows. She's on desk duty, so she shouldn't really be helping out, but as you can tell, Gracie has a problem with following the rules. She tells Eric that the best thing to do would be to put an FBI agent into the pageant undercover so that they can be on the ground should anything go wrong. As you can guess, after looking at through each and every female agent, they realize that Gracie is the only woman for the job. Of course, being a feminist, she couldn't think of anything worse than being dolled up and paraded around like an airhead. Plus, she's really hideous, so there's no way she could possibly be transformed into a beauty queen. That is, until the FBI get hold of Victor Melling, played by Michael Caine. He is this beauty queen legend, turning contestants into fully fledged queens with his skill. With lots of effort, he is able to turn Gracie into this smoking hot babe. So she goes to the pageant and meets the facilitator, Kathy Morningside, played by Candice Bergen. She and Gracie do not get along because Gracie still finds the whole pageant thing a bit antiquated and ridiculous, while Kathy Morningside has basically dedicated her life to the Miss United States. Shenanigans ensue, and Gracie gets really close to one of the contestants from Rhode Island, Cheryl Frazier, played by Heather Burns. They confide in each other, and Gracie starts to realize that these ladies are actually really cool. And hey, maybe this whole thing isn't that bad. Then, completely out of the blue, the bomber is caught. So the FBI decide to leave the pageant, thinking that nothing could go wrong. Gracie, of course, has other ideas. She believes that they should be investigating Kathy Morningside because she is getting fired at the end of this pageant and has kind of lost her mind, being extra violent and unhinged. Her boss says no, and so Gracie quits the force and stays in the competition to monitor the situation as a civilian. It is at this point that Eric discovers that Kathy's assistant is actually her son and that he has multiple felony charges. He comes back to help Gracie ensure that everything is okay. In the meantime, Kathy and her son are planning to blow up the winner of the Miss United States pageant by placing a bomb in the crown. Kathy is pissed because she is getting fired when she dedicated her whole life to the pageant. So if she goes down, she's going to take the whole pageant down with her. In the end, Gracie and Eric are able to save the day. They safely detonate the bomb and no one is hurt. They arrest Kathy and her son, and Gracie and Eric start dating. The end.
Yay! Well done. What's your cliffhanger? I know it's hard to pick just one.
This was the most difficult cliffhanger that I could have possibly, like, it was so difficult to choose between so many great lines, but it has to be this one, which is the scene where Michael Caine's character is like, watch me float, look how I float, look how I glide, and it is just such a great opening scene, just watching Michael Caine just glide across the ground.
Michael Caine was fantastic in this.
Perfect.
So good.
So good. I mean, like, there's not a character that you don't like in this film. I mean, Michael Caine, like you said, yes. Yeah. Benjamin Bratt, what a gorgeous man.
I think the first episode we ever recorded when we were on previous podcast when we were It's Not That Bad was we did Catwoman, and Benjamin Bratt is the love interest in that, and I still just have the biggest crush on that man. His cheekbones, you could grate cheese on them.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Very defined. So yes.
Yeah.
How
dare he be so gorgeous? And I mean, he just doesn't seem to age. He's just like stays perpetually beautiful. It's really impressive. Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts about it? Let's start with our guests. Thoughts on this film?
I mean, I adore this film. I think it is funny. It's so feel good. I mean, Sandra Bullock, it's like the perfect marriage of her physical comedy and her comedic timing with line delivery. And I love a good transformation movie, you know, like,
right.
Oh yeah. Where she's like a mildly beautiful cop.
Right. What?
She transforms into a much more beautiful cop. I always love that trope in movies where it's like someone obviously beautiful.
And yeah, you're like, no, they're not ugly to begin with.
Yeah. And then everyone's like, oh, she was hot. It's like,
and the defining like transformative feature is always the eyebrows. Like they're very caterpillary to begin with, and then like that's the first thing you notice, you know. It's the same thing in Princess Diaries.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like it just transforms the whole face, which you know,
they like
makes
give
me
her
very self-conscious of
they give
my
her like a little
beauty
blowout
routines in quarantine.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's the problem, and I think it's very important to master your bathroom lighting, especially in quarantine, because if you have bad bathroom lighting, you're gonna see things.
Yep. I've avoided my bathroom mirror for like a week before, like, you know, checked myself out in other much more flattering ones, and then I'll get to the bathroom mirror and be like, oh my god, why didn't anyone tell me?
No.
It's a harsh light. I think that's where sort of that saying came from, just, you know, the truth of the harsh light. So what is there anything that we didn't like about this movie? Let's talk about that to start with, because I know we're such fangirls about this that we should probably try and be objective and say where this movie kind of fell down. Thoughts from everyone?
So rewatching it now, I think there's a couple things that could be considered problematic that we just didn't really notice 20 years ago. Like there's definitely some like homophobic slurs or some kind of like chauvinistic things with the way the other men on the force are, you know, thinking about the women. But that part is, I mean, it is kind of part of the plot. It does add to it a little, but I feel like 20 years ago, that kind of joke was considered cutesy, and like we were able to just like, laugh at it. And this time, like I was the two times when her coworker, when Benjamin Bratt, when he like went smacks her on the butt twice, I'm like, I don't remember that watching it the first time, and this time it was like, what?
Yeah.
What are you doing, Benjamin?
Like, you're not just like college buddies. Like,
yeah,
it was shocking, which is so funny. I like did not remember that at all from the first one.
No.
So I just think like some of those things that we kind of cringe at now that like 20 years ago just kind of we didn't even notice.
Also, I feel like in the early 2000s, like feminist was still such a dirty word. Like
Yeah.
they really avoid it. And I think the only time it comes out is when like the lady in charge of the pageant is like, yeah, and feminists hate this show because like she equates it with like terrorists.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. It is, yeah, it was really shocking, especially from the FBI. And I guess like that's the thing that we're slowly realizing now is just like we can't be having cop shows and procedurals where they themselves break the rules and be like cool with it anymore.
Right.
And I think that's it's obviously a really good revolution to have and revelation to have, especially given everything that's happened in the last year. Well, everything that's come to public light in the last year.
Everything that people have started caring about more.
Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
and to go back and see this and just see the weird relationship and the weird tension and the fact that like that whole scene where they are just objectifying all the women through that computer program.
Yeah.
It's like wow, okay, this just feels like a sexual harassment claim waiting to happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I will say there is one part though towards after Eric and Gracie have kind of like bonded a little throughout this experience. There is one point where Eric kind of blocks it and he's like, okay guys, there's nothing to see here. And he kind of becomes like defensive of her in that way.
But at
it's
the
hard
same
to tell in the movie
time,
if he's being possessive about her or if he actually cares, but you know, there's a little bit of, they're trying to redeem it a little, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, sorry, Simone, you were going to say something.
Okay, but then your point next.
Okay, fine.
This to me, it actually reminded me like a little bit of Legally Blonde in that like part of the character's central conflict is like she's always kind of struggled with femininity or like presenting as feminine while also trying to be taken seriously. And so like, well, this character is like very much just sort of rejected like all forms of like being feminine in favor of like wanting people to take her seriously, and she struggles to find that balance or like a balance where she even like takes herself seriously if she's presenting as feminine. And that's like her sort of little growth, which I thought was really nice, actually. I thought they did a really good job with that character arc in this movie. Obviously, Legally Blonde, like she always presents as super feminine, and her real conflict is trying to get the rest of the world to understand that she's still like smart and capable and worthy. But it's kind of weird that like at this point in the 2000s, like this was a weird central conflict for movies to have, was just like, girls can be girly and professional. It's a weird line to draw.
Yeah, that is true.
Look, it's clear that this movie was going for like the lowest common denominator. It's one of those things where the message is very clear in what it's supposed to be, so that everyone understands it. It's not nuanced. We're not doing nuance in Miss Congeniality. We're not trying to like really discuss the dichotomy of feminism and professionalism. We're trying to be like, women can be both sexy and professional, and that's a good start for chads everywhere. This is what we need. You know, just help them with that. But like
Shads everywhere.
on that basis, on like thinking about that basis, it is a bit strange, but I kind of liked the fact that it was always assumed that she was good at her job, and no one talked shit about her for being good at her job and focused on the job, even though she was a woman. Like there was no sort of even a mention by her boss or anything that she was less capable or less able because she was a woman, and it had nothing to do with her beauty or anything, which I thought was really cool. It was a nice assumption to just have baked into the movie.
Yeah, I like that, especially for coming out in the early 2000s, you know, 20 years ago. That is good. I like that.
That's a good point. I actually hadn't thought of that at all.
You know,
it's almost like you do this semi-professionally.
Yeah, I'm a semi-pro at this point. You've seen my jumpers. You know they have elbow patches. I teach courses on this kind of thing nowadays. So what we like to do as well is at one of our segments, you know, we're not as professional as you guys with your structure and everything, but we do try to have some structure, and we do a segment called a scene that could have saved it. So basically, you just got to think of one scene that would have made this better. So I'll start with Simone, so you guys have time to think about it. I'm not just going to throw you in the deep end. That's all. That's reserved for what I do to Simone on occasion. I just throw her in, but so I won't do that to you guys. So Simone, what's your scene that could have saved it?
Something that I thought was kind of interesting that I wish had been explored a little more is like in her relationship with Benjamin Bratt is like clearly like part of what she's feeling is like she's also avoided relationships because she doesn't know like how to be vulnerable and also feel respected, and like that's part of why she's like been really closed off, and you know, because she's being so vulnerable with this, she can like be like closer to Benjamin Bratt. And I thought that was really interesting, but I really wish that they'd maybe gone into it a little bit more, especially because it becomes kind of a central conflict in the next movie, like how she feels about relationships and how insecure she is about them. So it would have been cool just to see like one extra little scene where she like maybe talks to Miss America about it or whatever. And like, you know, I think that would have set things up a little nicely, but at the same time, I don't think they knew there was going to be a sequel when this movie got made. So that's fair.
Yeah, I get you. How about you, Anne? What's the scene that could have saved it for you?
No, I really struggle with this question for this first
Fair.
Congeniality, because I can take the movie as
perfect.
is. Like, I really like it.
Yeah.
It's, you know, there's flaws, but it's flawless otherwise. I will say, like, in a lot of Sandra Bullock movies, you know, we've watched all 48 of them.
Oh my God.
Good Lord.
A very constant theme. A very consistent theme in her movies is that like she is typecast into these characters who are like so devoted to their job, super single, afraid of relationships. Like that is a character that she gets cast into a lot. So like maybe kind of echoing Simone a little bit, like some deeper dive into like the history there, like because at one point she tells I think it's Victor, she tells him, she's like, you don't know why I am the way I am. And then like we don't get anything else from that. So like
true.
That might be an extended scene that I would appreciate to know, like, how did she end up in the FBI, and like why is she the way that she is? I think that would have added
Totally. Because all we get is like that little bit at the beginning where she's like a kid and she saves the other kid from being bullied. And that's it. Like, we don't know what her parents were like. I assume, like, she looks like a lady who had a military dad who was very emotionally withholding, but we don't know.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think we need a prequel. The four of us can write it. Netflix, hit us up. I would say Jeff Bezos, but he stepped down last week. So, you know, besides we don't like him, and especially now that he's not in a position of power, we can literally guillotine him now.
I don't
inciting
know.
Violence. I'm pretty sure that's right. I think if you're not CEO, you can be guillotined. I'm pretty
You're just
sure
as vulnerable
that's
to the
right.
guillotine as the rest of us.
Also, Sandra Bullock is like, she's like Benjamin Button, so she could definitely age backwards and do a prequel when she's like, where she'd be like 25.
I was looking at pictures of her from like the early 80s when she was doing the Working Girl series, and like she looks exactly the fucking same now. It's insane.
It's wild.
She's stunning. She's flawless, and she'll never age. And she, Betty White, and Keanu Reeves are just going to be at the end of the universe, just eating s'mores, and we'll just, you know, be on the ground,
hanging out.
How about you? What's your scene that could have saved it?
Okay, so this one was hard for me too because I love it as it is. And I love your backstory idea. That's a really good one. The one thing I thought of that kind of like trips me up in this movie is when she is performing at the preliminaries with the water glasses, and then she like jumps the guy in the crowd. It's hilarious. I love that scene, but also it's a little bit unbelievable that like she makes it on the news, and then everybody's just kind of like, okay, I guess that was fine, and we'll just go on. So to me, I'm just like, that part is a little bit like, really? Like, I feel like they would people would be demanding that they look into her more, and like she's this newcomer, like what's going on with that? I feel like that would tip, tip people's,
especially like people are so obsessive about like the pageant circuit, and like to become like to even get to Miss America, like that is like a whole career that you've done for most of your life. Like I'm pretty sure every other runner-up for Miss New Jersey would be like, excuse me,
what?
Right, like, how did this girl get here?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point.
Like she wasn't there.
Right.
Yeah, that would be sick. And actually, like as a side story, as like an extra sort of B plot, that would have been really cool to investigate, and like the FBI trying to hush it up and things. That could have been really fun. That could have been really, really fun. Yeah. For me, it's simply the fact that Miss Rhode Island is accused of being a animal rights activist, anarchist, and it's just dropped, like completely dropped. And I'm dying, like it was the weakest red herring of all time. And all I want is for that to come back so we can understand. I mean, it's really funny because after one of the best scenes in the movie with the perfect date scene, it said, like it's a thrown away line, but it said that her major is something like astrophysics with a minor in, but like these two facts, that she's an anarchist and she's doing nuclear physics, is just thrown away, and we just need to forget about it. It's fine. Like I'm dying to know her story. Like that's the only thing I care about more than anything else. So
maybe
that's what I want.
We'll get her story as well.
Yes. I'm about this. Like a mini Netflix series as well, where it's just like each individual, like the top 10's backstory. Like we can do individual episodes.
I'd watch the shit out of it.
Netflix, come on. Let's go. Well, as a final thought, what we like to do is, would you watch this again, and would you recommend it for people? So go.
The answer is a resounding yes from everybody.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like I'd watch it again right fucking now.
Literally right now.
Should we do that? Should we let's skip Miss Congeniality too? Should we just put it on? Okay. So.
And also, if you haven't seen this already, like, what are you doing? Go watch it right now.
Yes.
The scene
100.
where William Shatner is trying to do the Miss America song while everybody's fighting and getting punched in the face is comedy gold.
It is.
There's like fire in the background.
He's great throughout this movie. He's so funny. I mean, he gets better in the second movie, and we'll discuss it, but he's just such a nice presence. Like he usually does like such gravitas and things, but this was just perfect as just like a side character. What a babe. Simone, before we do Congeniality 2, shall we stop now?
No,
because
Zoom has given me a gift, and they're not going to cut off this recording this time. They told me.
Whoa. Oh, thank you, Zoom gods. Thank you for blessing us.
I think they're fans of Sandy B as well.
Must be, because they never do this for me. They obviously hate me.
For you, like every half hour on the minute, they're like, fuck you. And they shut it down.
It's terrible. It always happens. And when we have guests on, we have to be like, we get into such a nice flow, and that time just creeps up and it's like, well, you have to cancel now. And then it just shuts us down. And we're just like, okay, well, the flow is ruined now.
I'll call you again in a second. We're so sorry. So professional.
Right. So tell us, Simone, let's do Miss Congeniality 2. I don't remember the tagline. Does anyone remember the tagline?
Armed and fabulous.
Armed and fabulous.
Perfect.
I'm not a fan.
I think we should all get that tattooed. There's 3 words. That's a bit of a problem, but you know, one of us armed, one of us and one of us fabulous.
I mean, maybe we should just get t-shirts before the tattoos.
Someone can just get an exclamation point.
I also don't know who wants the armed tattoo.
Ew, it's true.
Going through airports is going to be a little tricky.
Or
maybe you could just get like arm instead of arm.
Ooh,
true.
Yeah, that's better.
On your arm.
You're just labeling your body parts.
A general reminder.
I like it. It's sort of Memento-esque. It's really good. That's great. I think that would also work, because especially with the 4 of us, so someone can get arm, someone can get ED, someone can get and someone can get fabulous. Obviously, the person who got fabulous wins. This is just very clear.
I'm
I'm kind of
picturing a
scared of getting
very
a
like
tattoo, so I'll just get the like tiny ampersand. I'll
perfect.
do
Yeah.
That's really cute. I
That
think
works.
that's the real
really
winner.
cute. Yeah.
For the fabulous, I'm really
Oh,
picturing like an early 2000s aesthetic.
Yes.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Like
like
proper big
rolling
cursive.
script.
Yes.
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 As close
Huge.
to like Ed Hardy as you can
Oh,
possibly get.
That's exactly what I'm imagining.
Yeah. Alternatively, Simone, if you're not happy with the whole tattoo idea, we could just start a cult called Armed and Fabulous, which I've been gunning for forever.
I know you
Like
want
you
us to start a cult,
get
but
real interesting folks.
See, we got two subscribers already. So here we go. We can do this, guys.
I don't think
We're
we have
in
the
it now.
charisma.
How dare you? How very dare you? Just
Okay.
go on with your synopsis. I'm done with you.
Okay, let's be honest. I'm the weak link here. I think you can pull it off. Okay. Miss Congeniality 2, Armed and Fabulous. So, this movie takes place a couple of weeks after the events of the first Miss Congeniality. Sandra Bullock, or Gracie Hart, played by Sandra Bullock, is having trouble going back into being a field agent because she keeps being recognized. She's so famous for the events of the first Miss Congeniality. On top of that, her relationship with Benjamin Bratt is not going well. So at this point, FBI Assistant Director Harry McDonald, played by Ernie Hudson, says she should capitalize on her publicity by appointing her as media relations officer. So it's basically a PR gig where she travels around and makes the FBI look really good, which can be tricky. So because she's like really sad about her breakup, she's like, okay, sure, I'll do it. And she is paired with FBI transfer agent Sam Fuller, played by Regina King. Sam has some very deep anger issues, and they don't really get along that well at first. She also gets a style coach, Joel Mayers, played by Diedrich Bader. And then she gets a book ghostwritten for her, and she does a whole book tour. But it's very clear that she's lost herself a bit. She's all up in her style. She's not the badass lady that we knew and loved in the first movie. Fortunately or unfortunately, Stanfields, played by William Shatner, and her dear friend, Miss America, Cheryl Fraser, played by Heather Burns, get kidnapped. And it's up to Gracie to solve the case, except not really. The FBI really actually doesn't want her on the case at all. But she's decided, because Cheryl is her bestie, that she's going to try and solve it while she's on the book tour, while Sam is on her case, while Joel is on her case. She needs to find her friend. So she does a bunch of different investigation work. She goes undercover at an old age home, and she realizes that the kidnappers and would-be ransomers aren't actually after Cheryl at all. They're after Stan, who has some really bad gambling debts. More and more shenanigans ensue. People keep telling her that she needs to stop investigating and let the professionals do it. But it turns out that the FBI is kind of maybe in on it, or at least they want the thing for themselves. She saves the day. She saves her friend. Everybody's happy. And she quits being the PR person and goes back into detective work, and also is nice to little girls who are boyish again. The end.
That's the true message of this movie. Beautiful.
Ron Swanson is there.
And Ron friggin' Swanson. Okay, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But what is your cliffhanger for this one, Simone? This is equally as difficult, I can imagine.
My cliffhanger is going to be this very painful moment, which is when she's talking to the little girl at the book signing. And the little girl's like, oh, I'm doing my book report. And, this is like Sandy, like she's lost herself. She's not even being cool to this little girl. And she's like, you just need to put your hair up and back. And it's just, I don't know if I believe this character change from the first movie.
Right.
Like it's only
I'm
been
with you.
like a couple of months, and like the Gracie that we meet in the first movie doesn't seem like the kind of person who would let fame go to her head. Like her whole defining characteristic is that she's very down to earth. And then throughout this movie, they really try to push that she's like all about the style and all about the fashion. And it's like, really, in a couple of months, she learned how to quote like Louis Vuitton, and like she just did all that. Like, okay, that's weird. I don't know. It really didn't seem like a natural character shift for me, and it bugged me like this whole movie. Like I just really struggled with it.
Yeah, I feel you. To play devil's advocate here, to try and justify it, you know, I'm trying to be on the producer's side here. She has this like horrible breakup with Benjamin Bratt's character, right? And so in my head, it's believable. I can swallow this very, very large pill on the back that she's so traumatized from this relationship, opening herself up to someone else when she's, you know, being so closed down, that opening herself up to Benjamin Bratt and then having him throw it in her face for a promotion has shut her down, and she doesn't know who she is anymore. And so she's trying to find herself because she's so vulnerable and open now, that she becomes this sort of vapid, you know, only people who look after themselves care about themselves kind of whatever.
Damn
that
it,
fucking
you're
line
right.
was. Ha!
I'm furious. How dare you be so empathetic and sweet? What do you guys think?
That's the only way I can accept it too, is that wake up scene on the phone is Sandra Bullock does an incredible job portraying what that feels like.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Especially just representing one side of the conversation. And I totally agree, Chad. That's the only way I can justify this like drastic character transformation, which I also don't like, because it's just like, well, maybe she's at that point, she's like, well, I tried and now I'm resigned and I'm just going to be a monkey, and you know, this is the job now. Like, this is what I'm going to do. But her comment to the little girl, because she does still have moments of like herself throughout it, but that comment to the little girl at the book signing, it does feel so out of character. And she does this like robot smile. She tells like, people care about people who care about themselves. I'm like, ugh.
Creepy.
Yeah, I don't know. I totally agree.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Sorry, you go.
No, I was just gonna echo. I totally agree as well.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, Simone. I think you're 100% right in the fact that it can't be like there is no nuance in this movie. I think we're all sort of like putting our own emphasis on it. It's definitely not the directors. They did not think this far ahead. Can't be physically impossible for this kind of movie. But yeah, that's the only way you can kind of justify it, which is also just unjustifiable because it is such a quick, drastic switch from the first one, which makes very little sense.
I also really didn't love them leaning back on the angry black woman stereotype. Like, I understand that she had to be like kind of like, oh, it's like a version of Gracie before the last Miss Congeniality, so she can see her old self and conflict with her old self. Like, I get it, but it was just a little icky.
On that note, I too felt like they had sort of like the token character like Victor in the first one, and then the second one with the stylist. Like, I felt like that was a little bit like, really, like you just felt like, oh, I'm gonna check this box off because it worked in the first movie, and like it didn't come across as like, oh, this is a genuine character that I'm going to flesh out and like add to the story. It was just like, oh, there were some funny moments in the first one, like let's make a character like that again.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. I think there are quite a lot of sort of unbelievable things in this. I think the biggest one for me, like on a rewatch now, is the fact that Gracie jumps into the pirate island, into the ship zone, and no one stops it. No one's like, someone's just jumped into our live action scene, and the hotel's like, nah, let it play out. It's fine.
Especially
like,
in
it's
Vegas,
okay.
like the security is really tight on those things because people are hammered all the time.
So true. Yeah, I think this movie has a lot of things in it that it's like a lot sillier than the first one. They kind of take it to the extreme as far as like outrageous scenes, like funny undercover scenes. It just feels a lot more like it just feels a lot sillier than the first one.
Yeah.
I think you kind of have to go into it with the right mindset. I mean, I think sequels, especially to a movie that becomes such a classic, like beloved classic, like Miss Congeniality, I think it's really hard to do a sequel. So I think if you go in with the right mindset where you're just like, we're just going to have some fun with this, like we don't want to overthink it, then you'll enjoy it. But if you really sit down and think about it, you can find a lot of like,
Yeah, I think that's a really fair assessment. I mean, yeah, the whole scene in the drag bar, I was like, okay, I just have to accept this is the physical comedy moment. This is them letting Sandy B go off script and improvise, and you just have to get through it.
I love that scene because there's that bit in it where the side character tells the other Tina Turner to lift her, and in the deepest voice imaginable, he just goes no, and that just like I lost my shit at that because it was just so funny. It's like, pick me up, no, and I didn't care what happened afterwards. I was just laughing my head off. It was so funny, and you do get little moments like that are just great in this movie, and I think that's where I appreciated this movie. Like you said, like you really have to sort of suspend your disbelief. You have to just come into this knowing that it's just gonna be like a complete romp. But there are little moments of comedy that are great. There's that bit where Rhode Island is singing and Ron Swanson pulls the gun and is about to shoot her, and what's his face is like, I can sing if you like. I played Iago in 12th Night. Beautiful, perfect line, brilliant, absolutely fantastic.
I think you definitely saw more of Cheryl Frasier's that's the name of the character. What's her face? Heather Burns. I think you definitely saw more of her like comedy acting chops in this. I thought like she definitely had fine-tuned the character and was just like nailing all of her lines.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. What did you guys
also like Nick Offerman? Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say Nick Offerman's like subtle side plot where he has a BFA in fine arts and he's kind of like turning this ransom thing into a whole production. I think it's so subtly funny, and it took me like many rewatches to actually even realize that was Nick Offerman, where I was like,
right,
what is happening? I love his character to be this like kind of goofy villain who's just like, I'll prove you wrong, I can do a ransom, and like he and his brother trying to pull it off is just hysterical to me.
So funny.
I love a criminal with a flair for the dramatic, and who better to play one?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And to be fair, they would have gotten away with it if Gracie Hart hadn't just been so damn lucky.
Such a good detective.
So lucky. And I think that for me is what took it away from this movie as well, is the fact that it was just like Deus Ex Machina after Deus Ex Machina. Like she didn't really, like in the first one she was brilliant because she like did proper detective work, found out this stuff by herself. In this one it was sort of just like off the cuff comments from everyone else that kind of just led her in the right direction. And it was just like right place, right time, and that made no sense. Like that took away her agency, I found.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So what else did everyone enjoy about it in particular? Yeah, no, sorry, go for it.
Oh, I was gonna say something else I didn't like, so
go for it. Go for it.
I'll throw in something that
I was gonna say, like,
sorry, Anne, go ahead.
There's delays.
Oh, it's all.
Okay. We're on like several different continents. So one thing that I didn't like is that I felt like they do this a lot in sequels where they overcomplicate the story, or they add like so many subplots that are just not necessary. Yes, I love that you just had a refill.
I just text my boyfriend to bring me more wine.
Where
like me more wine. It's honestly
what a life. Do you need anything else?
I don't think so.
Sorry, Anne, you were saying, there's loads of B plots in this.
No, it's totally fine. Yes, there's too many B plots. Like the whole fact that it turns out to not be a Miss America ploy, and they're actually like gambler debts coming after Stan, and then it switches hands, and then there's like that whole other plot with like their other FBI friend who's dating the pretty blonde and she ends up cheating
Yeah.
on him with the director.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the point of
Having
that? Like, it overcomplicates it. And I, for the longest time, and maybe I'm just not intellectually savvy enough, but for the longest time watching it, I was like, it's a gambling like stands
Mhm.
gambling. Who are
Yeah.
these people? Like, how did this even happen? And so I think they just overcomplicated that
Yeah.
Totally.
for ultimately what the movie actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. That was also
Yeah.
my sense. Like the movie was way more complicated than it had to be. I feel like the first movie was like super perfect, straightforward. Like you've got this
Mhm.
investigation, this mystery. She needs to be in the Miss America pageant. She needs to solve it. She chats to side characters. They clearly have backstories we want to know more about, but it's not important. Let's just like move along.
Yeah. No, it's so true. It's so true, and it does make the movie a bit janky in that respect
Mhm.
as well. It felt like, and I think this is a really odd comparison, but it did feel like Charlie's Angels, the original one, where it's just like a whole bunch of scenes that were stitched together rather than one
Yes.
coherent movie. And I think that's what kind of let it down. That you were just like, wait, why are we back at the airport again? Like,
Yeah.
this feels
Mhm.
very weird, just plotliney. Like it feels like that's something that they teach you in film school
Yeah.
not to do. Like it just feels like one of those things like you inherently should know from film school, even if you haven't been to film school. Yeah.
Like all of us. I don't know if you guys have, but we certainly haven't been to film school.
No.
I mean, in a way, this is our film school. This is what we
That's
all
true.
four of us do, you
We're
know, religiously
unqualified.
now.
Very unqualified.
I don't know. I think we could all apply to. Does Harvard do a film school degree? I think we could do like this. Could be our like video interview for Harvard, right?
Please take us.
That's gonna be my entrance essay,
Very-
just the nuances of miscongeniality.
Yes.
It worked for Elle Woods, so I feel like
That's
it could
true.
work for us too.
That's true.
Lots of connections
very
here.
true. Yeah. Oh
There's-
goodness.
There's one other part I think that's funny that we haven't talked about yet is when Gracie goes undercover as an old lady in the assisted
Beautiful
living
scene.
home. Hilarious. Like it feels like classic comedy moment. You get to see her
Mhm.
acting as an old lady. Like she's got the saggy boobs that she's like adjusting. It's so
So
funny.
good.
Yeah,
it's so good.
it's really, really fun, especially when she
Yeah.
stands up because she solved the mystery.
Yes.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's absolutely like it's everything you want to be when you're an old person. Just this like
Yeah.
weird, grouchy, kind of lovely human being.
Right.
Just like a weird old person. That's all you want when you get to that age, really.
Exactly.
I also want to give credit where credit is due, and I think Regina King did like a really good job with the
Mhm.
script she was given. Like she could have played
Mhm.
it, I think, a lot worse than she did.
Yeah,
d-
absolutely.
Yeah, you know, the script did read really stereotypical, and she kind of,
Yeah.
I think, leaned away from that as much as she could, and she gave the
Mhm.
character a lot of depth and nuance that I think a lesser actress actually wouldn't have managed. And her
Absolutely.
scenes, you know, like where they're lying in the hotel room and chatting, that was a really lovely bonding scene. Or
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
oh, when Sandra B talks about how she feels like she's not like able to be loved or worthy of love.
Yeah.
Oh, that was really
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
And like, so it's,
Yeah.
really, Regina King, I think, brought a lot of those moments through and was like an amazing supporting actress for
Mhm.
like Sandra Bullock's Miss Congeniality. So I just wanted to like
Yeah, I love her.
give her a
Yeah.
huge shout
I think
out.
yeah.
Yeah,
She was a
totally.
star in this. Absolute star.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what's everyone's scenes that could have saved it? Now I'm gonna start with you two Girl Crush girls, because you've I'm throwing you in the deep end now. You know what this podcast is about, so it's your turn. I
Okay,
don't
cool.
get two.
Yeah, I think for me, this one is not necessarily a single scene, but I feel like they could have gone a different direction with the movie and made
Right.
it more
Totally.
interesting. So they went like the very, let's do extreme, let's do silly, like dive into it. I feel like they could have taken it like the other direction and had the movie be more about her character development in like a more genuine way,
Yeah.
and maybe
Yeah.
how she would have used this like growth that we saw in the first movie, this like incredible arc, and then used that to see like how would she change the FBI agency
Yeah.
from within.
Yeah.
Like bringing other women on the force, or something like that would have been cool to see, like more of her growth in the actual agency versus just
That's
like
cool.
oh, there's these other crazy crimes going on, and like let's see how she handles them now that she has some fame.
Yeah,
I feel like
totally.
made
Especially
it
like because being in the FBI, like field agent is not the only job available to you.
Right.
No.
Yeah. It was kind of silly that like they kept like she was undercover like 3 weeks after the whole Miss America thing.
Yeah.
Whoever decided that was really stupid, because I could have told you that was not going to work.
And they blame her. They're like, oh, you're too recognizable and it's a problem. Like, my guy?
You guys,
like, so
you're
then
smarter
you
than
automatically
this.
have to go into PR. Like, she could direct a bunch of other agents.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes very, very little sense. But I do like what you said. It would have been really cool if this had been a movie like, again, Netflix, hit us up. The four of us will create a great script. But it's sort of like, I guess it's sort of like a film like Dead Poets Society, where you have like Sandy B going to like an underprivileged school and like tries to recruit FBI agents, and she just finds the joy in those students who just don't give a shit, but she's there and rough toughen, and that is a great idea.
There's this really cute like young cast that she's teaching how to fight, and I love it already.
Yeah, Netflix.
It's like
you guys.
Cobra Kai with Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, exactly.
Cobra Kai with Sandra Bullock. Holy shit!
You just made Chad's whole dream come true.
Like, I'm not gonna I'm like halfway through the first season, so like I'm only gonna see it as Sandy B from now on. Like anything that
Sandy B was there.
That's beautiful. Thank you. All right,
You're welcome for that gift.
Thank you. It is a true gift. What's your scene that could have saved it apart from Cobra Kai with Sandy B?
Who are you asking? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was asking.
I kind of agree with I kind of agree with Allie. Like, my scene that would have changed it would be changing the entire movie. So the scene particularly when she's talking to what's his name, the head of the FBI, when he's like asking her to be the face of the FBI. It totally in that moment could have pivoted to something different if she were to say like, I'm not that person, I'm not comfortable with that. And then like, I think it'd be really cool if the movie was about her leading a team and like bringing other women in, and like them doing like, stuff only ladies can do. And maybe I'm describing the plot of Ocean's 8, but that's kind of like what I envision. And so
Ocean's 8 from the FBI's perspective, though.
I think that would have been like the other side. I just think that would have been way cooler, but maybe too advanced for
early 2000s Hollywood.
When this movie was out, or exactly.
No, that's a really good idea. Like an Ocean's 8 kind of vibe. Yeah. Oh my God, we've got so many plans. This is unbelievable. Like it's
what we're noticing is like this franchise has so much potential.
Yes. So much potential. You're absolutely right. And we're ready to write it. Like, I just want to make that very clear to any Netflix exec who's listening. Guys, we're here.
We have so many who listen to the podcast.
Wow.
Hey, who knows? When we join the forces of the Girl Crush podcast with the Fresh Tomatoes podcast, the sky is the limit, Simone. This is the group. This is armed and fabulous, Simone.
We'll give you our Netflix connection. Don't you worry.
Oh, okay, cool. It's cool you guys have one.
Is that just your Netflix password?
Exactly.
Yep.
Simone, what's your scene?
I'm obsessed with both of the ideas that have come up so far.
Yes.
For me, I would have also just tightened up the movie, right? It's a straightforward, you're saving Miss America from kidnapping, but it turns out, you're saving William Shatner the whole time. And like we said, Nick Offerman's character was so fun and cool. We could have just like chopped off a bunch of subplots, made that focus, get rid of a lot of the weird hijinks that happen, get her doing some damn good detective work.
Yes.
While also reconciling with her identity and like, I don't know, just devoting more time to those elements instead of like all the other like random shit that they decided to include, I feel like would have already been a great step in the right direction. So like slim down the cast, slim down the script. Let's just roll with what we've got. I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more because I was quite exhausted by the end of this movie.
Yeah. No, completely agree with you. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I just would have really loved for the fact that she is Gracie Hart to become more of an obstacle. Sort of, you know, it's very clear in the first scene that her
That's
being
true.
Gracie Hart is an obstacle. And then throughout the rest of the film, it's an advantage to her being Gracie Hart. It would have been great to see anything where, you know, the publicity, the paparazzi are always on her, so she can't talk to any suspects. She's got to go like high undercover, like proper, like finding different ways of getting around the fact that she is Gracie Hart, and it's just like not addressed again. And it would have just been a really awesome obstacle instead of getting like all these B plots in that we now have to deal with. Just, you know, the central theme with her having to deal with being herself. And it also goes to the whole idea of her identity being in question, and that's really nice. I thought that would have been very cool.
I like
Yeah,
that,
they could have gone like they could have gone very Scooby-Doo with this, where like at the end here, she pulls off her disguise and it was her all along.
That would be brilliant. Yes.
I will say one thing I like about this is that they I like that she doesn't end up with Eric from the first movie. I did like that she ended up with him in the first movie, but I like that they had her kind of be alone, and that's something she has to work through, because I think it's like very believable that after all that she went through in the first movie and like her life leading up to that the first relationship she's in probably isn't going to work out.
So
I
mean,
like
they kind of established that he's a bit of a dick in the first movie too. Like he's always dating someone like inappropriately young. And they're like, oh no, that means he's really cool. But like, it's cool that they're like, it's clearly not going to last, you guys. Think about it.
Right.
No, that's a really good point, and I think it goes to the realism that, you know, somehow appears.
There's
in
a lot of
movies,
thought
which
put
is
in, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, I know how we all feel about this, but just for prosperity, yes, we're all watching this again. We recommend it to people. What do we think?
I would just stop
Simone's
after
dissenting.
the first one, to be honest. Like, I would just leave it there. I think it could have a better sequel. Everybody here has had much better ideas than the sequel already. I don't know. I was a little disappointed. I was like, I feel like this hasn't added that much to the Gracie Hart story. So I don't know. I think I would just watch the first one again and pretend that that was all she wrote.
Right. Let's see what the other panel members think. Let's hear it.
I would recommend people to watch it once.
Okay.
Yeah, fair.
Because I think it's fun enough. Like there's a lot of funny comedic moments. Like I said, if you suspend your expectations, I think it's a fun watch, and I think it's worth it. I don't think I would necessarily seek out to put this on again. Like maybe if it's on TV, I'll be like, oh, cool, I'll keep it on. But I'm not going to be like seeking it out. And if I go watch the first one, I don't feel like I have to watch the second one. Like I agree. I'm fine rewatching the first one. So I'm kind of like, I enjoyed watching it. I think it's worth a watch for sure. But would I watch it again? Maybe not.
Okay. Yes. And
kind of on the same page, where I would say like definitely watch both of them, but then if you're like in a miscongeniality mood, don't feel obligated to watch the whole franchise. You could just watch the first one and no one will be mad. It's okay.
You see, I've got to be with my girl and Sandy B on this one. I'm sorry, but you got to watch the second one. It's not as good as the first one, but you know what? That is the beauty of Sandy B. You know, she swings, she makes the most beautiful connection. The ball goes flying, you know, in Miscongeniality 1. And you know what? In the second one, she hits it, but it doesn't go that far. She doesn't get the home run, and that's fine. She is a human. We always think of her as flawless, but she is flawed sometimes. And wow. You know what? This speaks to the humanity of Sandy B. This is also my thesis topic for my dissertation of this year. So like I've thought a lot about this. But
like I'm like, you're right. I need to rewatch it again right now. Give it the credit.
For Sandy.
Yeah, exactly.
I do
like...
No, go for it.
I was gonna say, if you ever want to talk about other Sandy B sequels, we have so many thoughts on Speed 2 Cruise Control, so please look for it.
Yes.
I haven't seen any of the Speed movies, and I'm like really upset because I have such a crush on young Keanu.
Oh my god, you must.
It is honestly unreal how hot he is.
I'm freaking out. You have to watch Speed, and that is prime Keanu. Like, you're gonna have an even bigger crush on Keanu at this time. Yeah.
Have you seen those like interviews that like separately Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves have done now, where like they both admit that they kind of had a little crush on each other while they were filming Speed, and it's like,
what could have been? I know.
Could you imagine? Their
Missed
children?
connection.
Their children would be too beautiful. Think
would be
about their
gods.
bone structure, Chad.
Bone structures.
Oh my god.
It'd be just cheekbones and
Just-
really nice eyebrows.
Just the most beautiful cheekbones.
And they'd never
just kind
age.
hearts. No, that child would be immortal. It would be problematic. Yeah, no.
No.
Too powerful. Too powerful.
I had to look up Speed just in case like we could do it next week for the podcast on a recommendation, but it did get 97%. I know we are full on flogging the rules for this year, but I think that just like really takes away the message of our podcast.
Speed 2,
look at
I'm
Speed
very
2.
confident it has a low score. I don't know what it is.
Yep.
I can imagine it would. But I was just thinking about it from like the four of us, you know, we're going to be insufferable. If any of us ever have children, we're just going to be insufferable parents when it comes to movies, because they're just going to be like, and we're just be like, hey, child, do you want to come watch Miss Congeniality 2? And they're like, nah, that movie's lame. And we're going to be like, no, sit down. I'm about to give you an hour-long talk with my 3 best friends about why it actually has good merits. Insufferable people.
Speed 2 has a 4% on Rotten Tomatoes.
So if you average them, the Speed franchise is under 50%.
I mean, Simone?
We've never averaged, Chad.
Simone? I mean, I don't know.
I'll think about it.
It is a dramatic swing to the worse. You know, the pendulum really
hilarious.
went.
Yeah.
Well, I'm leaving it in Simone's executive hands here. I made an executive choice today before the podcast. You can make.
That's cool.
No, even if you don't do an episode on it, just do yourself a favor and watch Speed 1. You're going to be blown away by how good it is. And then watch Speed 2 and you're going to be blown away at how bad it is.
Okay, because I did love young Keanu in Point Break. That was still, I don't know if you've watched him in Point Break, but
no.
It's
yeah. Simone has a special place. Simone has a special place.
I don't know why. I just really have a huge crush on him.
Totally.
You
don't have to explain yourself.
Men.
It's natural.
I get that. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. See, Chad, this is the support that I want in this podcast.
Whoa! Why am I being attacked here? I've always supported your Keanu Reeves crush. I've never supported your Sacha Baron Cohen crush.
When he does serious roles, he's really cute.
Right. Guests, please explain, what are your thoughts on this? I know we're putting you on the spot right now. Sacha Baron Cohen, hot or not? Let's do this.
When he does a serious role. So I'm talking about him in the Trial of the Chicago 7. I'm talking about him in Spy.
Okay, I have to say I have not seen that yet. It's on my list. So I
do it.
So this might be
He's a good actor in Chicago. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
He's a good actor in Trial of the Chicago 7. He's not attractive in Trial of Chicago 7.
Thank you.
I'm not saying he's
Yeah,
hot,
I'm
but he's
not
not like,
hot.
there's like something there. I don't know. He's very charming.
I'm gonna watch and I'll Instagram
Thank you.
message you my thoughts
Thank
after
you
I watch
so
that.
much.
My initial reaction is not, but
Fair. You know
I'm being
what?
open-minded.
Fair. It sneaks up on you though.
We will report back to our listeners on this feeling, but this is an enigma that has always confused me, and it's always been.
That's hilarious. That's so great.
So guys, thank you so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. We've had a great time. Have you guys had a great time?
Oh yeah, we've had so much fun. Thank you.
Like
amazing. It's been so cool to have you guys on, and like, you know, it's awesome the fact that we get to podcast with such interesting, amazing people like this. And we couldn't be happier to have got to know you, and you know what, I'm gonna say it, call you friends.
Love it.
Yay, new friends.
Honored.
Yeah, we're honored. We were like texting before we did this. We're like, oh, we love their podcast so much. I'm so excited.
Oh, you guys are the best. We're always surprised when people are like, we like your podcast, we're just completely taken aback. When they say they listen to our podcast, we're just like, why? So it's always when people are like, oh, your podcast is great, we're just like, nah, are you confused? Is there another Fresh
No,
Tomatoes podcast?
And I'm so glad you just threw out the word friends, because literally my text to Anne was, I want to be friends with them.
No, that's the funny thing, because I meant, like I was offering saying that we want to be your friends. I wasn't saying that you're now our friends, but it was like an invitation.
We didn't want
it
to
was
put
like
that
an
pressure
offer.
on you.
Yeah,
Wow.
we were giving you the offer to accept. We were saying, do you want to be friends with us?
We accept.
Yeah, we're all friends.
So happy.
Accepted. Love it.
Oh, this has been beautiful.
God.
Oh, thank goodness.
Oh
Well,
my
Simone,
goodness.
let's start. So right at the end of the podcast, I mean, now this has changed my gratitude of the week, but what we like to do is offer a gratitude of the week. So this is something that we've been really thankful for, something that has made us genuinely happy at the end of the week. So I'll let you guys think about it for a second. Simone, gratitude of the week?
Mine is a big one. Honestly though, guys, like you can really just be grateful for I've been grateful for grilled cheese sandwiches before.
Yeah, we've been
so
grateful for the little really dumb things. Yeah.
But this week I officially got an offer for a job and I start in March. It's very exciting because 2020
I'm so happy for you,
was
dude.
not my year.
Congratulations.
So yes, I started a job in March. I'm very excited. Everybody seems really cool. So I'm really happy.
Yeah, I'm
That's
so
awesome.
proud of you. You've been working so hard. This has been such a rough year for you. And
I never want to apply for a job again.
Oh, babe. It's been a horrible time, and it's just been great to see you flourish. And I'm so proud of you. And this has been so great. And yeah, I'm so happy for you, dude. It's unbelievable.
Thanks.
Oh, yes. All right, Ellie, what's your gratitude?
Yeah, so I feel very grateful this week because my dad is from Lebanon, so I'm half Lebanese, and my mom learned to cook a bunch of Lebanese food from my grandmother, who's no longer with us. But this weekend, my mom hosted a cooking class for me, and I have 3 brothers, so we got to learn how to make 10 Lebanese dishes, which was so much fun. So
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's my big gratitude thing for the week.
That's so beautiful.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Oh,
What's your
that's so
favorite dish
brilliant.
that you made?
Oh man. Okay. Homemade shawarma, which
Oh,
I didn't know was
yeah.
possible.
Oh,
It's
yes.
usually on the spit, but
Yeah.
I found this awesome way to do it in the oven. Is so good.
Oh, that sounds so amazing.
Yeah,
I'm quite jealous.
that's a hot commodity. I mean, you got to be careful who you tell that you can make that.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, we'll if you want us to bleep that bit out, we'll bleep it out for you at the end of this. How about you, Anne? What's your gratitude for this week?
Ooh, I had the honor of making my brother and sister-in-law's gender reveal cake, which
Oh,
we're doing
brilliant.
today. So I'm very excited for that.
That's so cool.
And also Girl Crush podcast turned 1 yesterday. So
Congratulations, you guys.
Happy birthday, you
That's a big
guys. Happy
milestone.
birthday.
Thanks.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, no, I mean, most people only dream of even starting a podcast, never mind continuing one and staying on it for a year. That's a lot of work and dedication.
Right.
Good job, you guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's really great to hear that, guys, because I mean this market, and Simone and I always talk about it, the movie podcast is an incredibly oversaturated podcast market, and you guys have found a really nice niche that is so beautiful, and your podcast is so genuine and so funny, and it's such a great podcast. And to hear that you guys have done a year is amazing, because it is so hard, and it's so really difficult to keep that momentum going. And you guys have done it, and that's fucking awesome. So really,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Nice.
Thanks.
This is such a happy
It
episode.
I love it.
It's
Really
so
is.
good.
It's so good. And I mean, I'm looking at Anne's picture now on the video for our YouTube for this, and it seems like you guys have merch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and show it off.
We do. I'm repping.
Oh, that's so cool.
I mean,
they're so cool.
I'm straight up gonna go buy one after this is
Where's our
done.
merch?
Simone, let's be honest, we're both so insecure that if we ever made merch, we would think that no one would buy it.
I would
So
get a
don't
shirt
even.
for sure.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's
Here you
2
go,
shirts,
2 for
Simone.
Almost slurped my
it.
drink.
Just those.
We will make 2 shirts, and it will be just for you two, and that will
Yeah.
be it.
Limited edition. You have to brand it
Yeah.
right, Chad.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Exclusive offer.
You see, I'm not dating a graphic designer anymore, so like that's another reason why we
True.
don't do this.
I mean,
Like,
look, nothing's stopping you
that's-
except the global pandemic.
yeah, I'm gonna do like I'm gonna update my Tinder bio to be like graphic designers exclusively.
Tinder is the new LinkedIn.
Yes.
My gratitude for this week is simply spinach puffs. So I woke up this morning and I was just like, you know what? I saw a video on YouTube on how to make like Krunks spinach puffs from Emperor's New Grooves, and I'd just been like dreaming about doing them today. So I did them, and they're beautiful. I'll put a photo up on our Instagram of my beautiful spinach puffs. I'm very, very excited to eat them, and it's just like, yeah, it's been a great week. It's been a week, and I'm really just happy to end it off with a delicious pastry snack.
That's a specific recipe too.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Well, yeah, like I'm thinking of doing like a movie themed like foods now. So like if you got any suggestions, because like obviously like Kronk spinach puffs is pretty easy. It's spinach puffs. But if there's anything like specific from a movie that you really enjoyed, like holla and I'll try and make it and I'll put it up on my Instagram.
I'll send you some links.
Amazing.
Yeah, Simone's got like 100 ideas.
Honestly, if we didn't talk about movies on this
Sandra-
podcast, we'd just talk about food.
That's true.
It's like the easiest tangent to get off on.
It really
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Speaking of, please tell me what snacks you guys are making for Super Bowl Sunday. I'm living vicariously through you.
I'm gonna try to make homemade wings with
Okay.
some different
Oh, that's gonna be
sauces.
so good.
We're gonna do like a buffalo sauce, a Parmesan
Nice.
garlic sauce, and then my
Oh.
husband's gonna try like a dry rub, like a spicy dry rub.
Ooh.
And then I'm making
yeah.
guacamole, which
Obviously.
I love.
Yes.
And I'm
yes.
making 7-layer bars.
Wow.
Ooh.
You know, just like chocolate, butterscotch, coconut, graham crackers, all the good stuff.
Damn. That's amazing.
Mm.
You're going hard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Anne, are you making anything for Super Bowl Sunday? I mean, you've made a bloody reveal cake, so I don't know if
I've
you're
been
doing
so
anything
focused
else.
on this cake. I know. My sister-in-law is making this might not resonate with like anybody who listens to this, but Cincinnati Skyline chili dip, which is like in Ohio. There's this company called Skyline Chili, and people are like obsessed with it. And so she's from Ohio, and so she's recreating this dip. And then I think I'm just gonna do a old supermarket swing by and pick up some other pre-made stuff today because I'm pretty tapped out on my
That's self-care.
Adventure.
Like sometimes you can. You just pick up pre-made
This
stuff.
cake is amazing too. So no
Like-
shame, man.
Like the host in you wants to just make everything from scratch, but the human being just cannot. So
Store-bought
we all
hummus
get
is
that.
fine.
Yeah, it will be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I love about this as well is like we're talking about Super Bowl Sunday. This will come out the week after Super Bowl Sunday, and
Yeah.
everyone listening will know who the winner was. And I love that shit.
Yeah.
It's like I was going back and I was listening to the old podcast, like because I stopped listening to podcasts for a while, like pre-election, pre-US election,
Fair.
and going back and listening to like people freaking out about the election and like what's going to happen at the election. It was just so nice to just sit there and be like, from the future, from 2021, and be like, guys, it's gonna be fine. We can do this. Just, you know, a couple more weeks and
It's
you're going to be having a very different message.
Yeah.
Well, Simone, what are we going to do next week? Do you have any ideas apart from Speed and Speed 2? You do this every week. I don't understand.
Okay, no, I did have an idea. Actually, fuck you, Chad. What if we haven't done for a minute? We haven't done unnecessary sequels week, right?
Right. I love it.
So what if we did Speed 2 and
Okay.
Legally Blonde 2?
Ooh, interesting. Ooh,
Because we
yes.
did Legally Blonde for New Year's,
Yes.
so it follows.
Yes, I'm about that. That tracks, and our listeners can do it, and it goes with Speed 2 with the beautiful suggestion from our guest today. So I think that works perfectly, and it gives us an excuse to watch Speed 1, so we can kind of understand what the hell's going on.
Don't worry, I'll send you guys a message about young Keanu.
please,
and Speed
Keanu,
1.
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
And frankly, young
Please
Sandra
do.
B as well. I will send
yeah.
you
Yeah.
a couple of.
without question. Yeah. Cool. Well, on those thoughts of young Keanu and young Sandy B, I think that's a good place to end it. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We really, really do appreciate it. You guys are the best podcast listeners in the world. And if you haven't done it yet, please go check out the Girl Crush podcast.
Yeah, we'll link
'cause
down
it
below.
is exceptional. Yes. Simone, what are our socials and things so that people can get in touch with us?
People can talk to us on Fresh Tomatoes Podcast at Facebook and Instagram, on Twitter at Fresh Tomatoes MP. They can email us at freshtomatoespodcast@gmail.com. And where can they find you guys?
We're very active on Instagram, so you can follow Girl Crush Podcast at girlcrush_pod. You can email us at podcastgirlcrush.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter. We recently dipped our toe in the TikTok market, which is a frightening place to be, but we're learning.
Cool.
But Instagram's probably your safest bet, and then you can listen to Girl Crush Podcast on
You guys
Apple
are
or
braver
anywhere
than
that you
us,
get your
like
podcast.
crusty millennials over here.
Hey, I think we should start our own TikTok. I could do that, I guess.
I don't know if I have the
wouldn't do
energy
well.
to be cool on TikTok, you know?
Doing the dances, just like a 27-year-old white guy just doing the fucking dances. That will be fun for everyone. That will be good
I
content,
will
I'm
say
sure.
it makes us feel old. 'Cause we're like,
Good.
is this
does.
like okay or?
Yeah,
Cool
yeah,
now.
we feel that. Yeah, come, we're hip too. It's that Steve Buscemi meme of like, hey, young kids.
Fellow kids.
Well, that's a good image to end on. Is just Steve Buscemi as a child. Just let that be burned into all of our listeners' heads. And as we say at the end of every episode, we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Can you guys please?
We love you, and there's nothing
love
you
you.
can do about it.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Yay!
Yay!
Goodbye, y'all.
You said it so cute. Bye.